welcome you today into our Friday conversation. Remember, we have been dealing with silent battles, the battles that we are fighting secretly inside of us, the battles that are determining how we behave, how we act, how we react, how we respond to things, the battle that has determined the people that we have become, but we want to break out of them, and yet we are not able. We have been journeying together to help you so that together we may walk out of it into becoming the people that God intended us to be. This week, we are dealing with pride as one of the battles that we are fighting every day. Pride in a sense of self-sufficiency, self-worth. You feel that you are better, you are bigger than other people. Pride that sometimes hides inside of you as if it's aggressiveness and competition. We want to dwell in this, to walk together with you, and I pray that God will bless you. Thank you.
Good afternoon once again. We thank God for this opportunity to discuss silent battles that we go through. And we had an opportunity to discuss about jealousy. And today we discuss about the word P-R-I-D-E. That is pride. And I have an able panelist here. We have the host of the show, Reverend Alan Kiombe. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
We have Reverend Nicholas Rotich, Vicar SEK Belgood Parish. It's always an honor to have you, sir. And then our able counselor, psychologist, Janet Kiplagat Surum. We want to welcome you. Karibuni.
Thank you.
So we begin with you, Reverend Alan, as we discuss about silent battles. Maybe a definition of pride. What is this word P-R-I-D-E? We always often hear people say this person has pride. Yeah.
I think in our discussion on silent battles, we took pride as one of the things that people are struggling with secretly and silently. They are forced to act in some ways or to behave in some ways, and people think it's normal, but it's because of the pride that is working in the inside of them. When we speak in the Bible, remember we spoke about the three sins: the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and pride. So pride is one of the sins that is considered as the work of the flesh. Now, when I speak about pride, I speak about somebody that has a sense of self-sufficiency, that I am sufficient by myself. I don't need another person to be what I am. Self-sufficiency. Sometimes you discover that somebody has a sense of self-worth. You feel like you are so much important than what you are supposed to be. You treat yourself in a very special way that others even don't have any room to assist you, or you begin to look others down upon others. I also say that a sense that we are better than other people. We feel that we are better than who we are. We feel that we are better than our siblings, our friends. It's considering self-important and putting yourself up and looking down upon others. Maybe those are the things that I would want us to discuss as we speak about pride.
Yep. Reverend Rotich, what is the meaning of pride so that we can understand it as a battle?
Yes, we can define pride, be it positive or negative. But then in this context, we want to look at pride, the meaning of pride in negative form. And it's a feeling which someone has within the self. And ego, yeah, when a person looks at self, yeah, self. So, and when you have that self, and you could be having some inadequacies, some limitations, some handicaps within you, and you want to overcome, or you want to hide, you overrate yourself, and when you overrate yourself, you rate yourself as regards the other person and say you are better than the other person. So, and you could be having that kind of limitation in your self-esteem, and you want to overcome that, and you overcome that by maybe comparing yourself with another person, and you conclude and say, I am better off than the other person. And so that is a sense of pride within you.
Yeah. Janet, as a counselor, What is the layman's language of the meaning pride for us to continue with the discussion?
Okay, even before I define pride, I'd like to a bit disagree with our men of God here. I view pride as something that can be positive or negative, and it is positive, more especially when you view yourself. Okay, it is viewing yourself as being noble or honorable. So the thing is, will you view yourself better than others, or are you not? Are you aggressive towards others? Are you hostile towards others? Are you inflicting on the rights of others? Now that is what makes pride either a virtue or a vice. But pride as an emotion is very important. Yes.
So I want us to continue looking at pride because it's a battle people go through. The moment you start viewing yourself better than others, the moment you want to put yourself higher or you overrate yourself, because we are human beings. And as much as it is positive, sometimes with the environment we work, we are not standalones, we are not islands, we interact with people. And it can be something that people don't discuss, but you could be stepping on people's toes and then you see it like a good thing. Because if you look at it that way, again, it will be something that will be very corrosive in relationships. So I want us to discuss what are some of the main causes of pride. What are some of the main causes of pride? Because I've seen people who are very proud because they have succeeded in life. They have not, they keep on succeeding. They don't know what failure is all about. So it reaches a place they begin to wonder. You see how it comes as a negative emotion. You begin to wonder, why are people failing and you are succeeding. So what are some of the main causes of pride?
Pride has its roots on how we look at ourselves. And we project ourselves to others based on how we look at ourselves. If we look at ourselves rightly, we will not struggle with the issues of pride, manifesting that pride. Now, it roots from us trying to fix our low self-esteem issues. If someone has low self-esteem and they don't want to deal with the self-esteem, they always try to look for other parts of them that looks better than the people around them. And then they begin to, based on that, ride on others. Let us say somebody that is struggling about his education. He didn't go to school as he wanted to go to school compared to other people. Then he comes to a place and say, after all, I have more money than them. Therefore, he begins to use the money that he has more than these other people to step on them, punishing them for having a higher education than him. It is trying to fix out their low self-esteem issue, their sense of unworthiness in some areas, trying to hide somewhere. Somebody, like for instance, when somebody has done something wrong, and then they hear that another person has also done something wrong, they begin to say, even though I've done something wrong, but the other person has also done that something wrong. So he begins to use the failure of the other one to remain afloat and to close himself from any manner of help. So I would say one is to fix that low esteem issues and to deal with one's sense of unworthiness. Yeah.
So somebody who has low self-esteem can bring up the feeling of pride in them. And I want to welcome Reverend Rotich just to tell us what is the source of pride. Because the Bible says God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. And then God resisted. He rejected Saul because he had that sense of, he overrated himself. You see, he was a successful king. The Bible describes him as a taller than any other. He had a lot of good things. But what the good things that he had are the things that actually made him fall. So what is the main cause of pride?
Yes, I want to emphasize again and say pride, even with the initials P-R-I-D-E, at the center of pride is I. Yeah?
The P-R and D-E.
I.
Yeah.
I, me, myself, that ego. And we are not differentiating so much with even what Janet was saying. is only that looking at pride positively and negatively. And we might want to choose to look at the pitfalls of pride. And at that one, when we say what causes, what are the causes of pride? And we are saying what are the causes of negative pride, then we can now say a person really wants to take care of self. Yeah? And the person does not become objective. A person becomes subjective.
Yeah.
So looking at self, and when you compare yourself with another person, you are now saying better off. Yeah? But you become prejudicial. The judge is you, and even you judge yourself even before you get to the law court and say, I'm okay, I'm better. And so that overrating, when we say overrating yourself, it means that we are not being objective by what you are doing. You are just looking at yourself with some standards of yourself, and you don't go beyond yourself apart from saying you are better off, you are high. You are being a kind of a peacock. In the way, could be the way you appear. You want to hide your limitations in terms of appearance, in terms of your spirituality, in terms of your power, and you assert some form of undue credit, so that you go beyond what you actually have, what you are, and what you have, and say it is me. But you may not be feeling. You could be feeling a lot of inadequacies, and so for me, the real cause, is that you just want to be yourself and go up instead of being honest and looking at yourself among other peers and groups and whichever way we may want to discuss.
So the issue of pride is me, myself, and I.
And I.
Me, myself, and I.
And I, everything.
Janet, in as much as you want to bring the positive side, I would answer to ask at the negative side of pride, because it is a pitfall in many nations, in many leaders, in many relationships, in business, in churches. It cuts across career. I know a person who is proud always overrates himself and feel like even the job, if somebody else is given, he feels, being subjective, he feels like he could be the one. Yeah, you see, these people are very proud. They, I like the scripture about Saul. I was reading recently that when Saul was given the kingship, some men refused even to give him gifts, and they stayed. Is Saul better than us? And you see, that is a form of pride.
What are they saying? How will this man?
How will this man save us? And you see, that is the issue with pride. When you are given maybe a role to do, and you are among your peers, they feel like you are not worthy, you are not capable of doing it. So I want to bring you as a counselor. This is a battle we go through in leadership, in homes, in families, in marriage, in church, in any, it cuts across, even in political forums. It's about pride. Yeah, in as much as you feel like there are some tribes in Kenya, until Jesus comes, they may never see status, because some other tribes feel like they are superior, and they overrate themselves. They need to be there, a sense of entitlement. So as a counselor, this is a battle we all face. What is the main cause, if you look at it from the negative? When you said the positive, I remembered Kenya Airways, the pride of Africa.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, let me just overlook the positive.
Thank
because
you.
like Reverend Alan said, it is intertwined to our self-esteem. And that's why you see we have many people who have this slavery mentality. It's because of lack of pride. That's why I it's hard for me to talk about the positive without the negative. But again, if you tell me talk about the negative, it is ego. It is ego, and the need to be better than the other person, which is brought about by competition and comparison. So the need to be, for me to be better than you, is what will make me even utter words that are full of pride, negative pride. Yes. So ego, comparison, competition,
and intertwined in our esteems. And Reverend has said, it's me, myself, and I. As we continue, we pick up on the indicators or signs. What are the telltale signs of somebody who is proud? What are some of the things that are flashy? We've spoken them. Maybe we can articulate much further.
No, quickly, as you speak about pride being positive and negative, again could be issues of grammar and English. It just could be issue of grammar and English. The one that you are talking about, positive pride, is when you know who you are and you acknowledge that which you are and your value in the society. Your esteem is good. You are at peace with yourself. Therefore, you cannot allow anybody to put you down based on other failures. That is what in English we call the other pride. That's why we say pride of Africa. This is what makes Africa to look good. That's why I say, this is my pride. This child is my pride. He makes me to look good. I esteem the value in this person, and he esteems the value in that person. But the moment we begin to overrate it in comparison to other people, that is the pride we are talking about. That's why we are saying it's a silent battle that many people are going through. Well, like in marriage, in family, when somebody begins to feel, I am better, I am superior, I can do better than everyone else, now we begin to say, this one is struggling with pride. And that's why the Bible says God hates pride, because it makes somebody to take even the place of God, that I am who I am, and I don't need anybody, and I can do anything by myself. So some of the symptoms or tell signs of pride is somebody that always consider themselves better than others. Everybody. It can be, tribe can be an individual, tribe can be a community. You can be proud because a certain pride can come to you because of the church that you normally attend. Because that church is doing so well, so you feel that you are better than other people outside there. It can be as a result of the family that you are coming from. Maybe they are endowed economically. So you come out of that family and you feel you are better than the people of other family. Now, that is one of the signs, is a feeling that you are better than others based on who you are and based on what you have. Not considering what they have that could be better than you, or what they have that you may need. One sign is when you feel you are better than others. Another sign is when you feel that you don't need help from any other person. You can sustain yourself. Sometimes I may come and pastor is having some problem here, and instead of him looking for my help, he say, I'll try to figure it out. He's not acknowledging what I could be having better than what he has. So the moment you come to a place that you don't like people helping you, or you don't appreciate people helping you, that is another telltale sign that this man is proud, or I am proud myself. Maybe another sign, very quickly, another symptom, very quickly, and then I'll allow others to do also, is when you think in your mind, that you are special, you are a special thing. And this is what caused people like Hitler to kill others. It was because of pride. He thought in his mind that we are a special gene, we are a special people. Therefore, we can annihilate other people because we don't need them here on earth. The moment you come to a place and something in your mind, in class, in a relationship, in marriage, you can be a couple, a husband and a wife, but a husband feels that I am special here. That is a moment you need to start dealing with pride.
Thank you, Reverend Rotich.
There are so many signs of pride, and it can take different areas. Talk about power, talk about appearance, talk about the way we talk and we act. And for example, I've just seen sometimes, and when people are saying, I'm smart, but do I say? That kind of a thing it may be a joke though. But it's some form of pride within a person. And sometimes also people don't want to be advised. Yeah, they don't listen to advice. They don't even attend to other people's opinions. They are opinionated. They think their own opinions, their own knowledge, their own thinking is sufficient, and it is the ultimate. Yeah. So there's so many ways, depending on which area are we tackling, is that we can sense some symptoms and signs of pride in a person. So the whole thing is that when you see someone who is looking unto selves, it is actually called egocentrism. Yeah. So everything is coming towards me. Take, for example, who is smarter now? And then it is me. And so nothing else. Yeah. That is, there are so many depending on which area. And so if it is in issues to do with spirituality, they want to take the glory. They want to take the glory. I have this talent, and you feel like you are the only one doing that, be it singing, be it preaching, be it intercession, be it whatever it is. And you want to take the all glory. At the end of the day, we don't become, if it is in a church context, we don't become servants of God, but we become more mighty and say, mighty servant of God, which sometimes you take undue. Yes.
Janet, I see you laughing when Reverend is saying about who is the smartest. Yes.
So I think they have said a lot about pride, but I also think that a person who is proud cannot ask for forgiveness and is not even ready to receive forgiveness. Yeah, that thing that makes us not to accept that we have been forgiven, I believe is pride. And then they are always right. They are always right. Can never listen to anyone's opinion. And they speak so highly of themselves. Like, if it were not for me, then this church would not come to. Yes. That is pride. Yeah. So
Okay.
Maybe again, they don't want to look weak. So you may have a need and I can help. But because if you ask me for help, or if it is known that I helped you, you may look weak. So you better suffer. And some of the extreme symptoms of pride is things like suicide. Suicide is a person that has decided to kill themselves because they are not ready to face what challenges they have been having. So sometimes they say, what will people say? People will laugh at me. They don't want to look weak. They feel like we are so strong to do this mistake. Therefore, let us kill ourselves so that we don't face the judgment of the people. Another symptoms of pride, and sometimes pride can manifest as drunkenness, when people cannot face the realities of life because they feel that they are higher than that reality. They normally go and intoxicate themselves, then they come back to confront that issue when they are cheating themselves with drunkenness. So it can be a root cause. It can be a root cause and of many other symptoms that we are seeing in our society. Some people, another symptom, some people can decide, I'm not going to be friends with Janet because I feel that Janet will look better than me. Therefore, I'm breaking this relationship. I will not allow my children to associate with her children because I will look weak if their strength is going to be visible. Some people will even break from marriage because they feel that I'm too big to accept that I have done this mistake, or to accept that my spouse can do this wrong against me. What will people say when they know that my wife or my husband has done this and I'm still staying here? So it causes so many troubles that are going on in the society, but people normally don't know that this is pride that we are dealing with. It's hard for me to forgive my spouse because I say, how can he do it to me? Alinionaje ndio akafanya hivi. The moment you feel like alinionaje ndio akafanya hivi, know that the problem, the other person might have done wrong, but you have a bigger problem than the other person. You are refusing yourself to be human. You put yourself in the place of a God. You take a certain glory.
Yeah, and that is what when pride becomes complex in terms of you become you condemn yourself. Yeah. When you become self-reliant, when you become self-propagating, self-sufficient, you can as well become self-condemning. You condemn yourself and say, how can I? How can I? And so you don't become objective. Again, it becomes subjective. I've even seen people, you see, like in terms of spirituality, people can even be very ascetic. They can even choose to be even poor. Yeah. So that thinking that they will show self. Even people can even become, so proud of their own humility. In a way, they want to show themselves they are so simple, they are so humble, yeah, until that kind of humility is becoming a sign and a result of pride. Yeah.
Maybe just a little bit before before I lose it. Sometimes it manifests as extreme success. So somebody, you build a big house that you don't need. You pursue a higher political or spiritual seat that you don't need, not for the sake of service, but so that you may look better and important than other people. When you come into a group and you see people are doing things and you feel like it is you who is supposed to do it, that is pride. But when you offer yourself because you know that I can give this service and others can also give this service, but God has blessed me here, you offer yourself, you suggest yourself for the purpose of the service, that is a different thing. So sometimes it can manifest in many ways, even in churches, even in the way we dress. I can buy a car that I don't need just to show off myself. I can take my children to the school that is so expensive. I struggle a lot so as to show off. Actually, another name of pride is showing off.
Show off. Yes.
And as a counselor, is lying a sign of pride?
Yes. It's a very big sign of pride, because you don't want to when you don't face reality, or you are not at a point where you can admit something for being true or false, then pride. But the only thing that I'd just like to add on to what our pastors have said, suicide is a mental illness, just like a headache, just like the way you'd go be treated for malaria, for corona. Suicide is a mental illness. Suicide tendencies, suicide ideation is purely a mental illness. So I don't really think it's pride, because before someone reaches the last resort of suicide, they have gone through a lot emotionally. And it's not really the sense of that they don't want to be helped. It is just the sense of helplessness, that they cannot make it. And that is not pride.
Okay, maybe it's a big debate. It's a big debate. Mental illness can be a process of something. And there are many contributions that will always bring somebody into that level of a thing. Some of the things that bring people into mental illness, some of the things could be the struggles that we are talking about, because they are not able or allowing themselves to handle this thing as human beings. They feel like this thing is not mine, and then they begin to struggle with it until they come to the place of what we call mental health. Now, Janet, I experienced somebody that was having money, and then he misused that money, and he felt like, I've done so much to harm many people, and he decides to kill himself so that he may not face the questions of the people. And I would tell you, I've been a pastor for some time, and I have an element of psychology. It is not a mental health, that one. It's somebody that has failed to go and confront what he has gone through. I've seen people that have debts, and they are not ready to go and say, forgive me for these debts, or go and confess to their family about what they have done, and then they decide to kill themselves. But I've also seen people that are struggling with something. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know who to share with. They don't know where to run to. At a certain level, they decide to kill themselves or even to go to drunkenness. Drunkenness is also a mental health issue. Even absconding duty could be a mental health issue, but it is not limited to mental health. Therefore, suicide is a mental health issue, but not limited to mental health.
How we may want to explain, you could be right, though, but then we are handling an issue here to do with self, ego. We're talking about issues to do with self-esteem, yeah? And we are acknowledging the fact that every person has limitation, has some weakness, areas to improve. Now, when it comes to a level where a person is condemning self, yeah, because of the self-limitation, it's a corrupted way. You condemn yourself, you become prejudicial. You judge yourself, I said, and then you punish yourself. Suicide is an issue to do with punishing self. Yeah? Punishing self so that another person feels bad. That is how I may want to explain.
Also running away.
Running away is a kind of escapism. Let me live so that they feel what it is to go through. And so for me, we may join both of them, the two views, yeah, from the psychological point of view and also from the spiritual point of view, and say it is an issue to do with how do we handle ourselves, yeah.
Actually, how do I handle
myself? Yeah,
like Judas Iscariot. Was it a mental health issue? Judas Iscariot. You see, he looked down upon himself. How did I do this thing? Like somebody that has been left by the girlfriend, and then he gets angry. Why has he left me for another person? He decides to kill himself. It's not a mental health. It only becomes a mental health after somebody now begins to struggle with it for some time and he cannot know where to run to. That is how they merge together. We need to come to a place that we know that we are humans and we can do wrong. We are humans and we can be betrayed. We are humans and we can fail. We are human and we can make wrong choices in life. Therefore, we can face it, we can confess it, we can ask to be forgiven, we can ask others to help us. But pride cannot allow you to ask anybody to help you.
Yeah, and in that case is when a person says, how could he be given that job and I'm better than him? Yeah? I'm better. So it's a kind of, I have a very high opinion about myself, so much so that if another person has been given and I feel like he's superior, is inferior, and I'm superior, then you decide to vanish. You decide to remove yourself so that they remain strong and standing tall. That is how I may want to explain it myself.
Actually, what our psychologist is saying, they deal it from the mental health issue because the thoughts of suicide bombard the mind. But now the root cause. Actually, our men of God are dealing with the root cause because it's like dealing with the iceberg. You see the iceberg theory. You think this person is sick in the head, and when you discover this person is not only sick in the head, there is some root cause. Maybe in childhood upbringing, in the experiences they have had in life, in opportunities maybe they have gotten misused or missed. So somebody comes to a point and say, I have gone through this. Actually, suicide is a pile up of issues that result, and it is pride. Because at the end of it all, you see in television, people who've committed suicide, the way their families are desperate. It's like this person
would have asked for help.
Yeah. And all these things are very humanistic. All these things are understandable. So we can match the two and bring a better combination. As
because we say pride does not ask for help. Pride does not beg for forgiveness. So you have to face it, and if you don't face it, you hide from it. And one way of hiding from it, you kill yourself.
Actually,
which is cause and effect.
Yeah, cause and effect. Actually, the mental illness is the effect. And now we are looking at the cause. And as a counselor, we really appreciate your input, because I also say pride makes us insensitive to the needs of others. It makes us insensitive to the needs of others. For instance, I have wronged you, and maybe you have that need to forgive me. And I become so insensitive, and maybe I do something selfish. I walk away, or I put you off. So it comes to a place whereby a person who is so proud is so insensitive of the needs of others. They just want, it's about themselves, how they feel, how they want it, how it's about them. So pride makes us insensitive. Another thing about pride is a proudful person does not admit wrong. You remember
can't, yeah.
Saul? Why did you do this? The people were complaining. Why did you do this? The
Even
prophet
Adam.
came late. You don't admit. Why are you angry, Janet? Because Vivian slapped me. You keep on. You don't want to admit your vulnerability or your weakness. And it reminds me of a very interesting story of Jonah in the Bible. Jonah runs away from God. Jonah causes trouble in the ship. Then Jonah tells the people, please throw me in the water. Just in peradventure, he is eaten. So those people can feel guilty. We've killed somebody. So those elements, as Reverend wants
Yeah.
to...
As again, it can also manifest as fear. You know, sometimes you think that somebody fears to try, but it is because pride tells him, suppose I try and I fail. So he fears that his image, his esteem will be seriously affected. And one of the good stories about pride in the Bible is the story of the prodigal son. Both of them, the good son and the bad son. The bad son was so proud. He thought, now I am self-sufficient. It manifested as selfish, wanting to have everything for himself. I am now self-sufficient. I can take care of myself. And even in our homes, our children, sometimes it comes, I can take care of myself. I'm now an adult. And he walks away. He squanders everything. He tries to go deeper into destruction because he was feeling like people may laugh at him going back. But he reached to a place he was broken. The pride went down. He became humble and he said, I will go and ask my father to forgive me. The big brother again suffered pride because he says, I have been the good boy. Why is he celebrated and not me celebrated? So it is actually, it's a journey that at some point the mental health comes in so deeply. But we cannot limit many things to mental health only or to spirituality only. That's why we are all of us, so that we may be able to bring all aspects of it. Yeah.
So, as a counselor, where does criticism fall?
In terms of pride,
Instead of, I see sometimes instead of just appreciating the efforts or the values or the gifts of others, you sit in the judgments.
yeah, it is pride because it is a form of superiority complex.
Yep.
These people who have bloated ego,
Bloated
it's
ego. I like that
bloated
word.
ego, bloated ego. Yeah. So again, even apart from that criticism, there's the gossip. Gossip is pride. It's just a way of saying, I admire this person, but I cannot admit. I want to be like this person, but I cannot admit. I make this person look bad so that I can feel good. And that is pride too.
I like that word, bloated ego. So what are some of the effects of pride that we see around? When you feel like you don't want to ask for help, you don't want to admit, we've discussed suicide. I see even isolation. People like being alone. Yeah, lone rangers. People like being alone. Tunajua mistaki watu. You see? What are some of the consequences? Because we see in the Bible, I keep on coming back to Saul. Saul was a good man, he journeyed well, but he reached a place, he believed so much in himself, and he had to lose his kingship just like that. Yeah. And even I think taking your own life is pride, because now God has given you, out of the many sperms, about 4 million, you were able to survive and given birth. Then you suddenly decide.
You're very unique.
You suddenly decide.
Yes.
You know, it is actually a form, effect of pride. Because there are people who are sick in hospital, surviving on oxygen. There are people who don't have legs or hands or eyes. You have everything. Then it reaches a point you feel like, I don't want to live again. And you self-condemnation, me, myself, and I. So what are some of the effects or consequences?
We said about suicide, number one. I talked about it as part of it. Number two, I can speak about desertion. Some people desert, they abandon their posts in life. A father can desert his family, can run away. You remember the story of the pastor that shared in the beginning of of our Friday conversation, the one who said that because of a tough life, his father just disappeared and left them for themselves. He was not ready to face the failures at home. So some people desert their workplace because they are not ready to be discovered that they cannot deliver. Some people desert a relationship. They run away from it because they are not ready to face the questions that are there. Another thing I would actually say, another effects of pride, I would actually say some people become extremely oppressive and angry so as to protect themselves from those other people. And then competition, trying to show off so that you look better than the other people. I can also say lack of doing anything because you fear failure, so you don't want to try. You know, some people don't, it's not that some people don't want some things, but they think that we will fail getting it and then people will laugh at us. So let us pretend like we don't want it so that nobody can know our weakness.
Yeah. Add it, arrogance,
Yep.
disobedience. There's so many in terms of the corruption that we have actually. We become more manipulative and we just want to have things for ourselves. We become corrupt. All that is a pride of life. Yeah, you amass things for yourself because you feel like the rest don't deserve. Yeah, you become more tribalistic because you are standing on your tribal platform. Yeah, and everything to do with us, my people. Yeah.
Myself.
Talk, for example, if they are servants of God or men of God or women of God, and I've had people introduce themselves, and sometimes also I feel like I'm in that, but then I want to if I say I'm Apostle Nicholas Rotich or Bishop Nicholas Rotich, whatever it is. For me, is that I think if we are introducing ourselves, we just say I am. Like what? Who is me actually? I am Nicholas Rotich. Much as you call me Reverend, is that the real me is Nicholas. Yeah. So, and when you see people who are like, hey, why haven't you written? I'm not Reverend. I'm the right Reverend, or I'm Archbishop or Doctor. What comes before the name and after the name? There's so many people who really want to say, you did not write my name and my initial correctly. I am Madam. I am Mr. I am so something else which you just want to throw in there so that you are better off than
The rest.
how have you introduced me?
Janet, what are some of these consequences?
Okay, what Reverend is saying is interesting because, again, even not acknowledging the position of a person.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I see in my work setup, like you have to refer to someone as prof, as doctor,
As dean.
as dean. If you don't do that, then you are being proud, and no one will tell you, but you'll just know by yourself.
Even
So,
calling your pastor
yes.
Rotich,
Yes.
that's pride.
That's
Yeah, okay.
pride.
Pride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reverend is saying is some sort of false humility, some sort of slavery
You see,
mentality.
Jared, if you want that title to shine, to give you another level,
Okay.
is pride. But if you just refuse what God has given you, it's also not good.
It's another way of the way I was saying, you could even be proud of your own humility. When we handle pride, for me, when we handle pride,
So
is that
about false humility.
is that
Another level of pride.
is that you actually almost like splitting the hair here in terms of How is it?
I like what our counselor is saying today.
Yes.
Bloated ego, false humility. Yes.
Let me just add something and say also pride leads to broken relationships. No one would want to associate with a person who is always full of themselves. And so you'll find yourself, you are in isolation by force because people don't want you. You'll find people ghosting on you. Someone is your friend, then all of a sudden they go silent on you because pride is a spirit that comes so deep. And when even you speak to another person, it draws them back. So I'm looking at pride in terms of relationships, and I can say surely it's one cause. That's why unasikia mtu anasema mbona ananiringia? Ilikuwa lazima aniambie. That is as a result of someone who is proud. But again, I'll just still maintain that we have to have some element of pride. I cannot just...
That one we've not disputed. We have agreed.
And that is what
in this show, we want to help the people to bring
That's why we call it silent battle.
A silent battle.
That one we have no dispute. We will come to encourage, because when it is done in excess, again, it's not good. Because another effect maybe I can pop in is for discussion is people who are too proud. They sometimes lack they are not self-aware. When people want to tell you something, you don't want to listen. You put them down, you shut them up, and maybe they want to help you. Maybe they want to tell you, hey, there's danger ahead, or maybe there is a hole, and maybe there is a flat tire. Maybe I've had people planning something, but because you are so high, you don't. I've seen a lot of leaders fall because people wanted to give them a little bit of advice, a little bit of maybe correction.
Also self-confidence.
Yeah. So again, we want to tackle in this show that aspect. We're not disputing actually the positive part as a counselor, and we want to bring in the element of helping people so that this thing, people cannot be on their comfort zone and yet they are harming relationships, harming work, and also desertion, as Pastor is saying. You see somebody who believes that pride is good, they say, I can walk away and find another place and continue. And that, I think that is not the thing that we are focusing on, because we are calling it a battle. When you call
I can say you are disturbing me, I can close this church, go to another town and open another church. I have the strength. That's pride.
Like in marriage, you say, and
leave this marriage.
There's a story of a lady who wanted to go somewhere, and the husband was telling them, please don't go. And this lady shouted at the husband, I know why you refused me to know driving. I can drive myself. And the lady didn't go far. She was involved in an accident, and she was really telling, I wish I had listened. The issue of self-awareness. We need to be aware. We need to see what are people saying. You see, Jesus asked a question. What do people say I am? Some said Elijah. Some said a mighty prophet. But Peter said, you are Jesus Christ. And he said, flesh and blood has not revealed. You know, it is good sometimes to sit down and ask people, what do people say about me? It is good to have a checklist, not just to go. There are people who say we just drive without looking at the side mirror or the middle mirror. You need to be, I think there is the issue of people lose themselves because they have a lot of confidence in themselves. They don't want to listen. We have great leaders, we have great marriages, but because people don't want to be aware, they don't want to be sat down. Even you as a counselor, you know, people say, why should I go to a counselor, and the counselor is also going through issues? Why would I sit down? You see, why would I go for a pastor? People nowadays say, why would I go for a pastor to pray? And
it's a human like me.
It's just a human being like me. That is pride, and we need to address it so that people can become aware and walk out of this battle and conquer it and maintain the objective and not be about me. So I want to invite you with a few remaining minutes. What are some of the remedies as we conclude this show for today? It has been healthy. I like the words that are coming myself: self-sufficiency, bloated ego, false humility. What are some of the remedies, Janet?
For pride, I think you have to, someone who is proud has to acknowledge that there is pride within them, and maybe listen to others the way you're saying, that we listen to what other people are talking about us. And then again, pride for me is something that only God can remove. So it calls for prayer. It calls for, because it is a very strong spirit. In fact, one of the most negative emotions when exhibited by a person. So I just say acknowledge that you have pride, and when you manifest pride, acknowledge that you have manifested. Acknowledge within yourself that that thing that is speaking is not actually me, it's the pride in me. So with those two, I think when someone acknowledges and when someone recognizes the pride, then from there they can be helped.
Thank you.
Yes, Janet says it's only God who can handle that, and it is true that Jesus says if anyone would want to come after me, let him deny himself and follow me. It's only God who can tune yourself. Yeah, himself. Yeah, can tune you actually so that you are able to know your limitations, also know your strengths, so that you are able to stand even in front of people and see yourself as same human people, weak as they may be. And Paul talks about who we are in Jesus, and he says Jesus came down so that he died on the cross, so that it is no longer me who lives, but who Christ lives in me. And so Jesus actually counters that I on the cross, crossing that I on the cross, so that it is no longer us, it is no longer about us. If we preach, it is not us we preach. If we serve, it is not us who we are serving, but then we are serving God, and to God be the glory.
Amen.
Thank you.
Quickly, because I'm sure because of time, I remember King David and his journey of pride. King David, because he's a king, is not going for war when he's supposed to go for war. King David, because he's a king, he sees a woman, he lusts for that woman, but because he's a king, he demands that that woman be brought to him, yet that woman belongs to another man. And because he's a king, after causing the woman to conceive, he uses his power as a king to hide his sin because of pride. He didn't want to confess. He kills somebody. He makes Uriah to be killed. Now, until that time that he got trouble and he was broken. And in Psalms 51, he comes to God and he cried and say, I have sinned against you, O Lord. The moment he acknowledged that his actions were pride, that's the time he was delivered from it. And that's why the Bible speaks that if someone is proud, God will humble them. Because it is hard for a proud person to know that he's proud until the time he's humbled. And many a times God allows some trouble, some problem, some pain, some situation that will always open us to see that we cannot handle this until we look for help. As we share today, our desire was you hear these telltale signs of pride, you hear the causes of pride, and you begin to weigh yourself against what we have tried to share so that you may seek for help. Pride, you seek for help, and you say, I am struggling with this thing. When others are, when I'm with others, I feel it should be me. When good things happen, I feel that it should be me. I'm struggling with this self-sufficiency. I don't want people to help me. I don't hear correction. Another thing, if you love somebody, you can tell them you're struggling with pride. Please check this and that, and the Holy Spirit will convict them. Therefore, I would say, as I'm ending, pride is a disease. Pride, I can also call it a mental health issue, as Janet would say, because it is a thought thing that is disturbing you. And I can also tell you pride is a spirit, and pride needs God and needs others and needs you. Thank you.
Swallow your pride.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Swallow your
been
pride.
Interesting. It has been nice. We've had different views, and we want to appreciate every view in this show. We appreciate you, Janet, our counselor. Thank you for bringing in a lot of contradictions. I like it that way. It makes the show lively. Thank you, Vika. We leave this show with false humility. Thank you, Reverend Alan, for working with us and giving us an opportunity to have this show. So from me, pride is something we battle with, something we can walk away from it, something we can conquer and have better lives and have a better society. From this show, I've been your host, Vivian Kibeu. God bless you so very much. And we love you. Thank you.
Thank you.